A new report from the Prison Policy Initiative, a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization studying mass criminalization, has found that even though the number of incarcerated women fell significantly during the pandemic, the numbers are rising back to pre-COVID-19 levels. The report compiles statistics from different types of correctional and confinement facilities in the U.S., finding that incarcerated women are usually low income and often held in local jails rather than state prisons, meaning that they have access to fewer healthcare resources and less programming.
The study found that some 58% of incarcerated women are single moms, 50% have physical or cognitive disabilities, and 76% may have mental illness. The report also said that unemployment was a major factor in women's interactions with the criminal legal system. Joining us now to discuss the causes, the effects, and how organization is bridging the gap on helping incarcerated women back into society is Lonett Williams, founder of Women Unsilenced. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello, thank you so much for having me, and thank you more importantly for shedding light on this work.
Absolutely.
This work is very important.
It's very important. It's very important to all of us because these women are a part of our families, they're a part of our communities. You know, the statistics really speak volumes, especially the 76% of women incarcerated that may have mental illness. Can you talk to us about how your organization is addressing issues like mental illness?
Thank you so much for that question. And yes, the stats are alarming. You know, it's the reality is that over the past 3 decades, we've experienced mass incarceration at a rate of 750% of women, that over men. And in the past 2 decades, 475%. You know, and it just keeps rising. And of course, the pandemic was a moment in time, but now we have gone back to those numbers, which is even more. And you know, it's what you know, just in talking to the women, we see how it's so necessary to develop a growth mindset, especially in our women across the globe, in our Black and brown communities particularly.
Yeah, and we see and we feel your passion for this particular, movement. The study also, unfortunately, found that 58% of incarcerated women are single moms. This must impact and really just devastate family and family members, in particular children, yes?
Yes, it most certainly does.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have single mom homes, then when you take that mother away, where are the children? So the question therein lies, what happens to our children? Is anybody paying attention to that? And,
I mean, can you connect the dots? I mean, you talk about our children, and sometimes we forget that children are also a part of the homeless population, or the unhoused population. Connect the dots for us. You're also working with the unhoused. Talk to us about, that sort of pipeline of trauma, from inside the prison walls, back into our communities. There's so many folks that are working to disrupt, that recidivism track. Tell us a little bit about what you all are doing to disrupt that.
And I live in New York City, and we are second in the nation with the highest population of those without homes today. And just 4 months ago, we were the first in the nation with the highest population. And that has everything to do with let me just go here and say that, when I was away, it was outside of God. What sustained me and what kept me moving forward was the skills that I had as being an entrepreneur. That resilience, the self-preservation, perseverance, and just that determination to keep going forward. Those skills are what cultivates a growth mindset, and it's that which is required and what's necessary. We need a global shift in cognitive thinking in our Black and brown communities across the board. And mothers coming home from incarceration after being gone for even gone just for a day or two, not to mention 10 years. Life changes. You know, there's no jobs. She has no job now. Now she's a felon. And now how is she going to provide for her child? Does she go back and fall into the trap of mass incarceration? And then, of course, that leads to homelessness. And in New York City, we don't even have a right to, there is no right to housing in New York City. So is why I keep going back to the entrepreneurial mindset that cultivates the growth of, it just needs to be a cognitive shift in the way we think. Gone are the jobs of, you know, get a job. We can get a job, but the jobs, it's how do you go about getting a job today? We're facing AI taking over those get a job spaces.
Yeah,
what do we do?
You talked a lot about the different types of traumas, and we go about defining trauma in so many different ways. You just touched on a job. Let's talk a little bit more in detail about finances and the role it plays when discussing Black women and trauma. In particular, you were alluding to, you know, once released, getting back on their feet, being able to support their family, especially if it's a single, you know, mom household.
Right. It's, you know, the lack of knowledge and skill in what's required today after being gone for an extended period of time. And not only that, but once you lose a job, you have to now re-enter the job market.
Right.
And so you have to now, you know, whatever skill you had and honed in on to hold that job for 20 years, now you have to start all over again in a whole space that you're not even familiar with. There's technology, there's AI, there's you've aged being in the system. So now what do? It's time to, you know, shift the thinking.
Yeah. Well, so tell us, how can we learn more about Women Unsilenced? Where can people go to support the work that you're leading and the movement that you're a part of?
Woman Unsilenced. We are Woman Unsilenced, WOMAN, unsilenced.org. So you can find us at womanunsilenced.org. You can send us an email at sister@womanunsilenced.org. You can find us on IG, also on Facebook. So we have a presence out there. We're with the technology of today, and we want to keep our women current so that they can share that with their children and maybe start developing, you know, bridging that gap between the generations.
And we're just coming off March. We're just coming off Women's History Month, and you are an extension of the Good Trouble and the amazing work that women across this country are doing. And we thank you so much for joining us today. We want to baptize you as an official soulmate and definitely have you back to discuss this movement in much more detail. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Keep up the work. Keep up the good work.
I look forward to coming back.
Indeed.